time has expired. I now recognize the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Schakowsky, for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for having this hearing. Mr. Mulvaney, you said, that's what we do. We pass the debt ceiling. We do it every time. And so what I'm hearing is that this is really a message opportunity. And I see it as a very, very political opportunity to raise this question at a time when so many Americans and businesses are at risk and very nervous about what happens. And my understanding from, I think it was Dr. Blessing saying that we don't have any real evidence that that particular conversation or that threat has resulted in a reducing of the spending of the United States. And there are many, many opportunities. We have committees that deal with this, not just the Appropriations Committee, but we have lots of committees that could hold hearings, et cetera. And I think it's really cynical to say that. And I wanted to talk to Ms. Luana Russell about small businesses. You talked about uncertainty, but I wondered if you could go into more detail about what that means. For example, let me say, if you're planning to expand or buy, another outlet or raise the wages of your workers or get access to capital, are these things affected when the question of the debt ceiling is looming?
Yes. Thank you so much for the question. They are, because people tend to stop. So if you're working with a bank and you're working with a financer, especially when you're looking at access to capital, which already for small businesses is a very difficult process, then organizations just stop because they have fear. They don't know. They have uncertainty. Small businesses may seem more of a risk. So while you're in a process to expand your business, to create tools that help your customers move forward, you will end up with a stop, and then your business suffers because you cannot move forward. You have to kind of stay where you are, and your growth is hindered.
Thank you. I say it's cynical because, I was on the Simpson-Bowles Commission. It was a commission over a decade ago talking about how we should deal with issues of debt. One of the major suggestions, fortunately it didn't pass, was to cut Social Security. Entitlements were on the table. And so when you talk about the debt ceiling, that's a reasonable conversation. But when you say that the consequence could be by not raising it, Social Security actually being cut, Medicare, Medicaid being cut. Don't make any mistakes. People get nervous about that, and they should. And that anxiety, even though you say, "Oh, well, that's what we do. We always pass it," is a real problem. Let's find other venues. I'm just wondering if I could ask Dr. Shaman to talk about real life consequences to businesses, et cetera, and investors from the debt ceiling. Oh, did I just run out of time? No, I have a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think we've seen that investors clearly react to the prospect of a debt ceiling, and you see rates on treasuries that are going to mature right around the time the debt ceiling might bind rising. We've luckily so far not seen anything that has lasted a very long time. And so we've seen inklings of what would happen, but we haven't seen, the thing that we're most worried about is that going over the cliff. But clearly, I think you're right that everything's going to seize up because it just creates a whole bunch of uncertainty for businesses, but for people too. Am I getting my Social Security check in time? It may be that eventually I will get it, but it might be 2 weeks late, 3 weeks late. That's a very big cost to impose on people when you're going to go fix it later anyhow. It's just like this own goal, right? There's no reason to put the economy through this when we know the only thing to do is going to be to raise the debt ceiling.
We have shut down the government before for a time, and we've seen all the public services stop. we have seen such a halting in the ability of get ordinary people to get things done. So to have this conversation, let's find another way. This does not make sense and it's very hurtful. And I yield back.